This video or podcast is sponsored by Amazon Music. Thousands of podcasts and shows are made every day, from the conversations of Joe Rogan to the crimes of Morbid, and music by 50 Cent and Sabrina Carpenter. Amazon Music has the right taste in music, podcasts, and shows for you. With a growing audience of 52.5 million people using Amazon Music every day, you can help in a contributing way to benefit this new version of what was once called radio. With thousands of music and podcasts to listen to, you can listen to our podcast too, keeping things in the middle. And with you signing up, listening to one of our episodes on your app or on your computer, you can help my podcast grow to become an ever-expanding podcast group and become a new member of our listening on Amazon Music. Please use our offer down in the description below, and it would help me a lot because it would help me earn a little bit of money. Amazon Music, the site where you need to go to listen to podcasts, stories, and music that may have you bopping the whole night through. Now, let's get to the show.
There are a lot of rumors out there. What's true? Fact. What's not? Fiction. You can't believe everything, but believe this. 6 News sorts it out. Get the truth. Fact or fiction. On your side. Only on 6 News.
Moving bunt Alexander with the runner at second base, Norton. He gets it down. Oh, it's perfect. It's through. Right Bear's going to win the Little League World Series Championship.
Hey everyone, this is Braydyn Bear, back at it again with Keeping Up in the Middle. This is another one of those thoughts and opinion type deals, because tomorrow I go back and finish up the final semester that I have in college. And my God, what a final game it was today at the Little League World Series, because we got a lot that really needs to be brought up. This will be posted on YouTube probably tomorrow night. And that's only because I'm not going to actually be able to post this and then it will be on YouTube, but I'm hoping it can be. But, I mean, it deserves talking about. Because every single time, like I mentioned with the Indy 500, this was shocking. But this weekend, we had some amazing events. SMU coming back against Nevada, Georgia Tech beating Florida State, and more on that with the Cinderella Slippers podcast coming up probably this Friday. We are still sorting that out, but we got a lot to talk about in the college football realms and basketball realms, so I decided to combine the two. And we don't know, as I said, classes begin tomorrow, so I'm just going to play it by ear and figure that out. Might be Friday. But we got a lot to talk about. As I mentioned, Georgia Tech beat Florida State. South Dakota State beat New Mexico. And then you had Harrison Burton in the NASCAR realms, upsetting Kyle Busch and the rest of the field to win probably what was one of the best Coke Zero Sugar 400s I've personally ever seen since Dale Earnhardt Jr. back in 2001. But my God, this Little League World Series today, holy cow. Everyone in America today should be celebrating this. They should be. There's no reason for you not to be. It was single-handedly one of the greatest finishes in Little League sports history. Maybe the best ever in youth sports. We've seen some crazy finishes at the Little League World Series. This one takes the cake. It had everything. It had everything. It had the coach who's nuts coach. I mean, the most unexpected figure to ever win the Little League World Series. Probably ever. Then a speech going into the ninth inning. A missed call that could have had Chinese Taipei win the whole thing. Can you imagine if that was just a ball or something? And then they had 3 outs. I mean, they later got their 3 outs, but this play in particular where the ball was bunted underneath, I knew at that moment I had seen a game pretty similar to this one with this much magnitude to it. Except it wasn't 2 international teams, it was 2 baseball teams in college. Tennessee, Florida State. Now, and many of you remember that game. If you have been watching college baseball or baseball in general like I have, it's a lot to digest. And seeing how Florida State was literally 1 out away from winning the College World Series, probably advancing to the next round. Same batter Tennessee tried to throw. There was a batter for Tennessee that tried to basically bunt his way down. It was called a strike. Actually, it was called a strike as far as I remember. And then they overturned it into a ball, and then Tennessee ended up putting 2 more runs on the board to win the College World Series. The guy on the call of that game was Carl Ravish, and he had an incredible call at that game and at this game. This game was even better than the World Series appearance that he had. But I just mentioned that he had the craziest coach, the craziest group of kids, the craziest team, that one boy that's doing all them dances. My gosh, he's like DJ Birds. He was the DJ Birds of the Little League World Series. There's just no doubt in my mind that kid's got an amazing future ahead of him. And my golly, Miss Molly, it was a cast of characters for the Florida team. Chinese Taipei, coming into this game, had the best overall team in Little League Baseball this year. Think about it. They threw a no-hitter in their first game, completely swept everyone. This is the equivalent to the U.S. and the Soviets. But we are under this type of thing with China and Taiwan right now, both trying to collide in a war. Pretty similar to this situation where the U.S. is trying to battle against China and Taiwan, but that team kept sweeping people, sweeping countries, swept Venezuela like that. And then all of a sudden, you have them go up against the freaking underdogs in Florida, in Lake Mary's, Florida. I might be wrong on that name, but Lake Mary's, Florida. But my goodness. As I mentioned with politics, there's the war going on right now in Israel, Ukraine, and in Russia. Russia, Ukraine, and Israel, Palestine. I might have to cut that out. But there is the war in Israel and Palestine, and then the war in Russia and Ukraine. The thing is that the U.S. is in the middle of these 2 wars. And the Little League World Series is the head of the U.S. Department agency, more like the CIA, even said himself with one of the sideline reporters on ESPN, he said that sports unite us together. And it was his duty to bring both of these teams to protect our country enough to bring both of these teams to go play in a game at Williamsport, Pennsylvania. But my gosh, when it comes down to the juggernauts and the underdogs, the hunter and the hunted, we got that and then some. It was a slow game. And every single one of these great games start off very slow. Then ramp up. Florida had an opportunity to score in the 9th. And then Florida had an opportunity to score in the 7th inning. 7th inning. And then before the 7th inning. And then all of a sudden, Chinese Taipei just does an incredible job at pitching at first in the 7th inning. And then the 8th inning was when all the madness ensued. And during the madness, I said to myself, oh my gosh, where is he throwing it at? Where's this kid who's probably, have you heard about how many years these kids train in China and in Japan? These kids train every day and night from dusk to dawn. And we're better trained, with quotations, better trained than us, better hitting than us, because these kids are overworked. They spend a good 12 hours a day just practicing their craft. And my gosh, the game itself at the end, where he threw the ball away, that's a mental error from Chinese. Mental error. And that doesn't happen in baseball, even to the best of teams. They'll be haunted for a while from it. And I know they will. And deservedly so. Because guess what? I'm a red-blooded American. I'm a red-blooded American who endorses Donald Trump to be president of the United States. I'm one that doesn't put up with this bullcrap that happens overseas. Because guess what? Our country is the greatest country in the world. We have the greatest country in the world. And I'm only saying that because there are other countries out there with freedom, like France, Germany, China. No, France, Germany, and then China had freedom at one time. South Korea has freedom. And Belgium has freedom. But it was the best squad you could ever imagine because for Florida, they're coming in as the underdogs. And as I mentioned, that team politically was going to try and separate both sides for a little bit. And now it's one of the most number one Twitter X topics right now as of August 25th. And my God, what a game from Florida. And the speech. God is on the side of a lot of these coaches now and a lot of these players, encouraging our youth to be more ingrained in Christ and being more ingrained with love. That's what this is all about. Showing that you are something. Lake Mary's, my goodness, they put God first. Their coach was wacky. Their players are characters. The one boy does all these dances. But then once Chinese Taipei throws that ball away, that red-blooded American who supports Donald Trump just felt even more patronized. It's the 6th time the United States has won in the Little League World Series, with the first being all the way back in 2016. And the last win internationally wasn't since 2015. And the last time this Taiwan team did win was back in 1996. And thank God it didn't go overseas. I even figured it could have. But I didn't know the outcome of this game. And my goodness, that team is from Florida with their kid, the DJ kid. Unbelievable team today. We were impressed. My family was so impressed by the entire thing. Because, my goodness, we were about to leave town and head back so I could go start off my school. And that's tomorrow, my final semester at IU. And what a way to start it with one of the most jam-packed sports weekends that I have ever personally seen. Never before has this been in a better spot. Little League Baseball is the greatest youth sporting event in the world, and there needs to be more events like it for youth. But again, Lake Mary's is an incredible squad. They'll have an incredible party when they come back. They said they already had a planned parade, but my goodness, there will be a way bigger one as soon as they go back. And I can't stress it enough. That this team had upset the biggest of underdogs, had upset the biggest of juggernauts. And my goodness, Chinese Taipei thought that they were the best team. But Florida ended up being the greatest team, possibly, in all of Little League World Series history. And there have been plenty of great American teams, but that is one that wasn't even supposed to be here. That wasn't even supposed to be winning. At first, when this whole thing started, I wanted Jasper, Indiana Little League, where I'm near, to be in the Little League World Series. It didn't end up well for Illinois, Hillsdale, Illinois, who ended up losing, and I think in the first or second round. But they were not a good team. But this Florida team wasn't even supposed to win. Because the coach, even for Chinese Taipei, was a strict authoritarian, always asking for these big calls. I'm like, you're not going to get these big calls. Do you think money's involved in this? I think so. Because I think we would have had another betting scandal at Taiwan again. And that's why those son of guns can't beat us for the 17th straight time that they've been in the Little League World Series. There's no way they can. No way they can. What a win, though. A classic of a game. Classic of a game. And the game itself had its cast of characters. It's big off-field drama. It's big on-field drama. Crazy coach, crazy fans, crazy players. They were loud, too. Very loud. And my goodness, it was awesome. The whole thing was just awesome. Let me just say that. Greatest youth sporting event every single year. And it gets better and better and better and better when the stakes are even more high. But congratulations again to Lake Mary's Little League. This is the greatest moment that you boys will ever achieve. As I was once 12 years old and I wanted to be in this tournament. It didn't happen. I never played a lick of Little League Baseball. And it was because if you got a major abilities issue, you would have a hard time getting into this stuff. And I struggled as a kid to even hit the ball. But hitting the ball wasn't even a problem. What was a problem was we didn't have any money. We still don't have any money. And I don't have any money because now I'm a broke college student, basically with nothing, watching the Olympics and seeing kids do better than me, literally 20 or 30-year-olds doing a lot better than I am doing. And I can tell any one of you kids that are listening to this, I don't have a large age percentage that is like under 7. But I do want to tell all the young kids out there, this Little League World Series, if you even have the opportunity to go, you should definitely go. You should definitely go. And I would say, if you have the money to play baseball or do any kind of talent, go ahead. Challenge the world. Challenge the status quo. Keep up with things. Keep up with life. It should be spent having fun with your friends, eating ice cream and eating pizza from Pizza Hut that you aren't even going to think is even that good. Even that good later when you're my age. And I'm saying all of it comes upon the fact that you are a kid and everything you do is big. Even at 12 years old, everything you do at 12 is big. Don't be on Pornhub. Please. Please do not be on Pornhub. Please do not search MK if you know who I mean, some woman from India. Don't search her, please, guys. If you're young enough to avoid that stuff, please do. Be the best supportive character you can be and listen to your parents, because that was a major struggle I had when I was younger, was not listening to my parents. But the thing I'm talking about tonight is not discipline, it's dreams. I had dreams, big dreams, goals, big goals, plans, big plans. And this is a huge deal. You will live with this for the rest of your life. It's on papers. It's on newspapers. You will be playing the game and appreciate every minute of it. Because you may not be able to play on that baseball field anymore. You may not be able to be a coach. You may not be able to be a manager. You may not even be able to run a baseball team. Maybe one day you could be playing for the Savannah Bananas. I mean, the endless possibilities are there. With your ability, and if you're really good at that ability, keep growing, keep thriving on it. And even if life sucks and tears you back down to reality, just keep in mind, you're doing great. And if you're 12 years old, you're not meant to have all these struggles and problems. You're meant to keep growing and dreaming. But you will live with this for the rest of your life. And I am proud of the boys that played in this Little League World Series. Every single one of them. It didn't even matter what country you were from, what state you were from, what city you were from. If you're an older adult like I am, it's a huge deal to even be in the Little League World Series. Nonetheless, be in a major baseball tournament, even in your state or your county or your town. And it's huge. But they will live with this for the rest of their lives, and they'll be proud and hold their heads up for much later in life. Because some of these guys I may be hearing about in the major leagues. But we'll have to wait and see. That was a very shortened episode. Again, congratulations to Lake Mary Little League. Impressive job on the mound in the batting cage. That team is America's team. And that's why I mentioned I'm a red-blooded American. And I love it when these American teams beat these teams that are foreign and overseas. Because they're not as good as us. They are not as good as us. Thank you all so much for watching and listening to this. I know it was pretty short, but I just wanted to get my thoughts out there and at least post a podcast out there. But again, Cinderella Slippers is going to dive into football and basketball. That should be posted by Friday. The traditional schedule for podcasts will be Sundays and Fridays. Especially with the Colts season about to happen. We're going to have Bleed Bloody Blue. That's coming back. And a lot of this stuff, again, you have to remind me, put it down on paper. I know that sounds bad, but you got to remind me to put it down on paper. And I will do it. I will absolutely do it if I can. but it's not my fault. I will keep this in mind with you. I have bipolar disorder, and with having bipolar, a lot of stuff just trickles away from my brain. But a lot of this stuff, of course, will be planned out for much, much later. And also, there will be a Twitter Spaces episode coming up. And we're going to try to do sports broadcasting on there this week. So we'll have Michigan and Fresno State be the latest game, the Saturday night game that's going to air on NBC. That's the game that I will be covering if I can. And if anything changes, I will let you guys know on X. Thank you all so much for listening. Congratulations to Lake Mary's Little League, as I've said 5 or 6 times now. Have a good night. And to all of you that are starting college or have started college already, like we are about to do for one last semester, I hope you all have a great 2 semesters, 1 semester, 5 semesters, however much you have. Have a good time. And any of you starting high school, have a good time too. This is an important moment in your life, so take advantage of it. And also, have a good night, everyone, as I will listen to all of you later on keeping things in the middle. And as soon as we get guests on our show, I will let you know. Thank you all so much again. Have a good night, and I wish you all the very best. For now, that's it for Keeping Up with the Middle.